There is great news for those of us who support what should be the nation of Palestine. The UN General Assembly, on a vote, has voted to grant the Palestinians a non-member observer status, a move strongly opposed by both the US and Israel. Now the vote was not even close. 138 said yes, 9 said no, and 41 abstained. I always feel kind of, sorry for the people who abstain. They don't have an opinion. Now, despite the fact of this historic ruling being made, Israel remains absolutely defiant and basically, in not so many words, without actually saying it, has declared their intention to, well, basically ignore it and still not give Palestine the rightful recognition that it is not only deserved, but now legally is entitled to. The Palestinians are seeking a recognition of the Palestinian state in the West Bank, Gaza, and East Jerusalem, the lands that Israel captured in 1967. Now, this new ruling allows Palestine to participate in debates in the UN, improve their chances of joining UN agencies and bodies like the International Criminal Court. Now, the Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas spoke about this historic vote.
Today to the General Assembly because it believes in peace, and because its people, as proven in past days, are in desperate need of it. Palestine comes today to this prestigious international forum, representative and protector of international legitimacy, reaffirming our conviction that the international community now stands before the last chance to save the two-state solution. Palestine comes to you today at a defining moment, regionally and internationally, in order to reaffirm its presence and to try to protect the possibilities and the foundations of a just peace that is deeply hoped for in our region. Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen, the Israeli aggression against our people in the Gaza Strip has confirmed once again the urgent and pressing need to end the Israeli occupation and for our people to gain their freedom and independence. This aggression also confirms the Israeli government's adherence to the policy of occupation, brute force, and war, which in turn obliges the international community to shoulder its responsibilities towards the Palestinian people and towards peace.
Now, obviously, this vote has struck a tremendous blow to Israel's illegitimate claim over Palestinian land. They're very, very angry about it, and essentially they're going to contest it the entire way. The Israeli ambassador to the UN, Ron Prosor, said, "No decision by the UN can break the 4,000-year-old bond between the people of Israel and the land of Israel." Yeah, cool story on that. But this is Israel basically saying, well, we don't care what the UN says, and this shouldn't be decided upon by the UN. This should be done in discussions between Israel and Palestine. In other words, where Palestine doesn't actually stand a chance, and if they do make an argument, you can roll in and just, mass murder the population. That's entirely what this is about, is trying to avoid having the UN rule anything on it, which is the proper legal thing to do. Of course, they don't want the UN involved, because then things might, in some way, shape, or form, might actually be fair. Now, the Israeli ambassador to the UN is basically saying that. He's saying the only way to reach peace is against unilateral action. So apparently going to the UN and doing a vote is a unilateral action, having all the UN member countries vote. Well, we can see why they didn't like it. Well, 138 to 9. We can see now why they want the UN to stay out of it, because the UN is just not going to back their outright theft of Palestinian land. Now, the U.S. Ambassador Susan Rice also echoed this statement by saying they urged the Palestinians and Israelis to resume direct peace talks, and also against this same unilateral action. I mean, it's not to be unexpected. Israel basically is the property of the United States, so Obviously, they're going to make the same argument that Israel did, that it's somehow unilateral action to put things to a vote. All right, maybe they think voting is unilateral action, but I don't know, that'd be a pretty twisted sense of democracy. Now, two countries that abstained from the vote was the UK and Germany. Now, these are two countries that are actually very important. There are strong ties between Israel and the UK, and Israel gets a ton of money from Germany as reparations for the Holocaust, which is also the justification for murdering Palestinians. But that's besides the point. Essentially what's happened here is the UK and Germany both know what's going on. They're going to have to back, they know they have to back the United States. They're part of the same like imperialist clique, even though there are contradictions among the various imperialist nations. But still, they know if they contradict the United States, there's going to be trouble. Sanctions, harsh word, not like sanctions, but like they can tariffs, just like little things that the imperialist nations do to mess with each other. But they also know if they vote against Palestine, they know that's going to be very bad for them too. People are going to be upset. It's going to be used as fuel for other things, and it's genuinely inhuman to do so. So basically, the UK and Germany have just completely stayed out of the whole thing, which, in my view, you take a stand and you stand which side you stand on. You don't just sit back and just say, twiddle your thumbs and do nothing. You take a stand, even if you're against the nation, the rightful nation of Palestine. Fine, take a stand on that. Don't just stand there and be a liberal and just stay out of it for the sake of peace or not causing any trouble, which is actually one of the things that Mao spoke about in Combat Liberalism, was not doing things like that. Now, one of the thing that makes me upset, and it's not unexpected, Canada voted in favor of denying Palestine. I mean, I'm not shocked. The conservative regime that's been ruling the country for a little while now has always been very hostile towards Palestine. In fact, I believe it was Jim Carney speaking at a synagogue saying that they're totally on the side of Israel and that Palestine is completely wrong. In the recent hostilities that took place, in which Israel just bombed Palestine out of nowhere, and then goes off this, Israel is right in this conflict. No, actually, they're quite blatantly wrong. They literally initiated the violence. It's just absolutely ridiculous. This government in Canada, the Conservative government, is nothing but absolutely hostile to, well, anything with brown skin, to be honest, but doubly so for Palestine, and has been nothing but a pathetic cheerleader for Israel. I mean, it doesn't even really help us, or at least our national interests, in that much of a way, but that is a conservative government, and that's exactly what you should expect from a conservative government, from a people who, well, traditionally just don't give a damn about any ethnic minority at all, regardless of where it is that they actually came from. Even if this isn't even an issue within the country or outside the country, they still just don't give a damn. But, and despite my personal distaste for the way that my country decided to vote in the UN, I think this last quote by Mahmoud Abbas actually says it all. 65 years ago on this day, the United Nations General Assembly adopted Resolution 181, which partitioned the land of historic Palestine into two states and became the birth certificate for Israel. The General Assembly is called upon today to issue a birth certificate of the reality of the state of Palestine.